All right, well, welcome everyone to Dad Games. Today I'm joined by the one and only, the multiple offender, Chris Driessen. And today, Driessen has chosen golden tea. So he has a slight advantage, but I like that. Brings out the competitive side a little bit. And so the whole point is, while I whoop up on Driessen playing some golden tea, we talk about dad stuff. So, Driessen,
yes.
If you were a character on Sesame Street, what character would you be and why?
Gosh, character on Sesame Street.
I know who I'd pick for you.
Yeah, I bet you do. I'm going to go with Cookie Monster.
Cookie Monster, that's not the one I picked.
I know who you probably picked. I would go with Cookie Monster because he's exuberant, he's got a lot of energy, he's all in for his cookies, but he's generally a pretty nice guy.
I was thinking one of two. I was either thinking the Count.
The Count!
Or Oscar.
I knew you'd pick Oscar.
Yeah, I know who you'd pick for me too.
Mr. Snuffleupagus or Big Bird?
Of course, Big Bird. I'd be Snuffleupagus. He was always my favorite. Snuffleupagus was awesome. Why don't you explain the wager to everybody here,
Well, whoever loses the round, the other person's going to have to go on bended knee and say that you are superior to me in golden tea. And of course, this is enshrined for all to see.
Oh, there it is. Oh, that was close.
Act like you've been there before, John.
Never.
Oh, Bird.
All right, so you played a lot of sports when you were growing up.
I did.
Did you only play football?
I did not. I played soccer when I was a little kid, baseball when I was a little kid, all the way through high school, football, or most high school at least, football from 5th or 6th grade through high school, and basketball from little kid to JV in 10th grade, I think was my last year. So I played a lot of different sports.
Yeah. So who was the coach that you had that had like the greatest impact on your life?
For good or for bad?
I didn't expect you to ask that question, so I guess I'll leave that open.
I would say for good, I had a basketball coach named Coach Price in middle school. And Coach Price was a great guy, great basketball coach, but more than anything, he was interested in developing, young men. And you hear a lot of coaches talk about that, but he was somebody that would challenge you, whether you were in the hallway or, doing things that weren't even related to basketball, and just would constantly challenge you to be a better person. So he's somebody that has stuck with me, and that was probably the sport I was least talented in. But he probably had the best impact on me for positive reasons. My football coach when I was in high school was a total turd. And
your football coach was?
Yeah, and just not a good dude, and was somebody that I just have a lot of negative feelings about. Even to this day, mostly try to let those go because high school was a long time ago. But,
yeah.
It's interesting that coaches can have such a positive influence or such a negative influence. And
so what was it about those two coaches that made them, what made their influence so impactful? Or what was it about them? What was it about the coach that you really liked that was so impactful versus the one that not so much? Oh,
I think that's right. I think that just him really trying to influence us as people, not just as athletes, and really kind of going out of his way and all things. He had a great energy. He was always upbeat. He was always positive. He was an older guy, so it was kind of an interesting, dichotomy of what you would think of compared to, most coaches, but had a ton of energy. People loved him. Our team was good. but just his kind of always not downplaying basketball, but saying basketball is just one piece of the equation.
So so given that, why did you stick with football more so than basketball? Was it just because you enjoyed it more?
I mean, have you looked at this?
So then, with your football coach, I mean, you kind of dealt with him, but you just enjoyed football more. Like, what in your opinion, what could he have done? Because a lot of the people watching this are probably coaches, right? Like, what could your football coach have done differently?
As well.
Right, exactly.
I think that he was not somebody that was focused on meritocracy, so the best player necessarily didn't play. It wasn't a merit-based system.
I gotcha. So it was like everybody plays?
No, he was, if you were, bigger in the booster club, or if you did some of these other things, and it was like, it just told all the players, are we trying to win, or are you trying to placate certain individuals?
Right.
So that just immediately led to a very strange dynamic on our team, and we weren't that great at football, so, that was probably part of it as well, but it was just always something that stuck with me, that in sports, it's the ultimate meritocracy, or should be, right? We're here to win. We're playing we're doing a competitive endeavor, and yet you're not putting the best players out on the field, the court, to win, and that always just burned me up. I also didn't have the best attitude back then, and was kind of a dick. So, I'm sure that played a little into it as well.
Right. Yeah. So looking at guys who are, coaching Little League, in your experience, with baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is, what's some of the things that you've noticed that make for a better coach when you're dealing with kids?
I think a lot of it is,
Oh, is that water?
No. Who are you? Right there in the fridge. How much do you care about your players? Back to kind of Coach Price. Are you building, in my case, I coach boys, but are you building young men? Are you teaching them how to deal with their emotions? Are you teaching them to work through adversity? Are you teaching them to be respectful? Are you teaching them to be good sports? Are we trying to win at all costs, or are we, building better humans?
Right.
Just happens to be through the game.
But there's a balance there. You know what I mean? Like you look at somebody like Coach Ray that runs the feeder program over at Thunderidge. I've learned a ton from him, because he has that like hardcore competitive spirit.
Yep.
But at the same time, he's really good at connecting with the kids and joking around with them. So he holds them accountable without being a jerk about it.
Right. And I think that's, an art in some ways.
Yeah.
Ooh, he goes up by one.
Eagle.
Oh, go.
4 in, up by 1.
Yeah, I love that. That's what it should be about. How are we teaching you values of hard work, respect, sportsmanship, teamwork, all the great things that sports teach you. And, some coaches, that's just not their forte.
So here's an interesting question on that. I've been coaching my son's basketball team now for a year straight. Oh, why didn't I do that? Mental error. Mental mistake. But, I'm kind of to the point now where I feel like it's almost detrimental at some point to constantly coach my own kids. In fact, I was just talking with a dad last night who his son plays on the team, and he's not super interested about. Get in there.
Oh, Gomer did the same thing. Biscuits.
And he, he said the same thing. He had to stop coaching his kids because he felt like they weren't he was too hard on them, and I feel like Caleb kind of looks at me and he doesn't give it as much as he could just because I'm the coach, even though I'm trying to hold him accountable and I am hard on him sometimes. I think he kind of backs off a little bit and doesn't work as hard as he might normally.
Yeah, I think, you guys are in a little different situation because that's Caleb's one sport, right? That's what his life is. That's what he does. And, our kids play multiple sports, so by nature they're just around. And I don't coach lacrosse. I don't know anything about it, but and they have a fabulous lacrosse coach, which is awesome. I do coach both of my boys' football teams. I'm helping out with Zach's baseball team this year. But I think there's something to be said for that, but I also think that there's something to be said for, that. Get in there. I think there's something to be said for coaching your own kids, having that bond, growing up that, hey, this is what I did with my dad. And
that's up 2, folks. Up 2.
Bro, we're on the 5th hole. Relax.
Sixth hole.
Relax. Look at the top, man.
Well, we're on the 6th hole.
Yes, we are playing 6. So yeah, I think there ultimately comes a time when you run out of there's just somebody better to coach anyone, right? That's why you and I aren't getting paid to coach.
Right.
But I don't know, for me, that's one of the biggest joys that I have in life is coaching my sons, particularly in football. It's a game that all 3 of us absolutely love. And, that
get in there. Oh, that was close.
Of being able to share those experiences, those skills with my son, to me, is priceless.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at, too, and I'm kind of leaning into the fact that, maybe I'll coach him through 6th grade and then I'm going to turn the reins over and become a spectator. Yeah. And have an opportunity to watch him.
We have a lacrosse tournament this weekend. I can't wait to go watch. It's not something I grew up playing, it's something I know about, but I love cheering them on.
Right.
I just love watching them compete. My daughter has a soccer tournament this weekend.
Yeah.
Which, oh my goodness.
That's a big one.
I'm crumbling before the audience. The pressure's too great.
Pressure's too great.
But why do you think that? Why is 6th grade the magic time? Because he's going into middle school and you just won't do the travel team anymore? Or why do you think now's the time?
I think part of it is just the way that it's structured. The program is structured. And I think that as a coach, I can coach 7th grade basketball. I mean, I coach sophomore basketball,
right.
In a winning. Don't
even think about it.
In a winning program, so I can do it. But, I think it's just that it's time. It's time for him to kind of go off and get other coaches, get other influences. And I just think that that's important.
I totally agree. And like I said, we're just in a little different situation where they play multiple sports. So they have the opportunity to do that at different times of the year.
All right. So you got 3 kids.
I do.
Actually
will tell you she has 4.
Who's the 4th?
Macy.
So, actually, sticking on this for a second, we were just talking before we started this about how you have, what'd you say, 7 games and 2 or 3 practices this weekend?
We do, yeah. Go!
Uh-oh.
You know what time it is. Great shot, Gomer. Says great shot.
Trying to make up a little. You need
it. We got a soccer game tonight. We've got 3 soccer games tomorrow, 3 lacrosse games tomorrow, and an indoor baseball practice.
I mean, that's a lot, man. And that's I think a big struggle that a lot of parents deal with right now is dealing with all that stuff. How do you, that would drive me crazy. Yeah. Having that many. First of all, I only got 2 kids. One of my kids is I want gymnastics twice a week, and then I coach my son's stuff, which is a big commitment. But the point is, man, if I had all that going on, I would be.
It is a big commitment. It is a lot. And I'll tell you I think that does a couple of things. One, it is a grind. And I think it just demonstrates for our kids that, hey, yeah, sometimes life's tough. Sometimes you got a lot going on. Sometimes there's a lot to deal with. And that's okay. And, also we're super fortunate because we've got I should have teed it high. This is going to be bad.
Oh. Sneaks it in there.
Well. Trust my skills.
Sneaks.
We're also super fortunate because we have this tribe of kids and parents that we've played with, particularly in football and lacrosse, that has been an absolute blessing, that have become very dear friends of ours, and we're able to, kind of mix and match. You take the big boys, we'll take the little boys kind of a thing. So for me, that's been a huge blessing. And I mean, it just speaks to, having people close to you, having a support network. It's tough when it's all you and you got to bear the burden of that, by yourself.
That's a good point. Building that support network and having all of those people helping out and stuff. I mean, that's That's huge. So, all right, let's go back to when your kids were firstborn. When's the first moment that you can remember in your life where you were like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble here? Like, you know, that first moment as a dad where you're like, holy cow, maybe I'll rephrase it. This isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Oh gosh, get down, get down, get down, get down, get down.
Oh.
That's gonna hurt. No, not playing my best here.
Where did you?
I was an only child, so I didn't grow up with siblings or really having any experiences with other kids other than friends that would come over to our house. We were kind of the house that everybody hung out at, so I was super social and always had people around, but everybody went home at the end of the day. So I just wasn't around for all the kind of nitty gritty, get you ready for school or change a diaper or any of that kind of thing. This is awesome.
Thread the needle, Driessen.
Right. Oh, this is ugly going.
This is Arrowhead on steroids here.
Well, when you do it like this, yes.
I'll just bank shot it right off that rock there.
Don't worry, I thread the needle. Can't take that drop though.
This is a nice shot.
So, when Avery first popped out, I even back up before that, I felt like the first time that it really set home, Jen and I, and you know this story, but for your watchers, our viewers, I went to a labor, birth, and beyond class, and there was two options. You could either go for 6 weeks for like an hour, or you could go one Saturday, 6 hours, and just pound it all out, and obviously you know which one I chose. Well, they got to the point in the delivery class where they kind of show a live birth, on a screen, and I get squeamish to have kind of a bit of a weak stomach, and we're out there and watching, and they had like this model it showed how everything kind of worked, and I didn't realize that there was a afterbirth, like that the placenta came out, like I was kind of tripped me out. And they pulled up this thing. It's like, it's kind of a bloody floppy Frisbee. And I was like, was repulsed, frankly.
Oh my God.
And I started feeling squeamish. And so Jen looks at me and she's like, you better.
Oh no.
Let's go.
Oh man. What
you better not. So I I just had a weak stomach and I felt like I was about to faint. And I have a problem where it gets like really focused in my head, and I really struggle with trying to, get it out of my head. So I get up to walk out of the labor, birth, and beyond class. I got to get to the bathroom, and I walk out and I faint right outside the door of the thing. And this is at Swedish Hospital, down the street. And I kind of come to and realize, oh shit, I'm in the middle of a hallway, and so I get to the bathroom, get into one of the stalls, I kind of get myself put together. All of a sudden I hear all kinds of people coming in because the class had gone on break or whatever.
Yeah.
I walk out, I'm like, all right, I got this. I walk out, and the first thing that happens is the first guy I see is like, bro, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, fine, whatever. And I walk around the corner, I see the mirror, and I got a big old knot over my head, I'm bleeding. Looked like I got jumped in the the Swedish bathroom.
Dude, that is hilarious. I remember this story.
Well, I think it was, but I think you asked, what was kind of when it all kind of sunk in. I think it was in part just the anxiety of, hey, I got a little person to look after that I've got to care for, that like it's all on me. So, you growing up being a knucklehead or some of this stuff, like that can't happen.
Oh,
there's this person that is utterly dependent on what you go and do every day. And so I made myself a little Word doc that I took in, and it said outwork, outperform, provide. And I still have it literally upstairs to this day just to remind me that
outwork,
outperform, provide. You got to put up numbers. You got to take care of this little, helpless thing.
So what does the word provide mean to you? Because this is something that I talk with a lot of dads about is, there's this, providing means something different to everybody, right? Providing might mean taking care of your family. It might mean providing a really lavish lifestyle. It might be being around all the time? Like, what does it mean when you say provide?
I don't know that I went into it that in depth at the time. To me, it was, food on the table, being accountable to this little person and making sure that she had everything she needed in life to be successful. That's what I would have told you, 12 years ago when she was born. What I would say that has morphed into is, to me, that's a father.
Right.
What that's morphed into in my world is being a dad, being present, being accountable, being engaged in their school, providing accountability for them when, they're starting to lose their way a little bit.
Right.
That was not the original intent by any means. I think it was a lot more financial and like, hey, you gotta keep the wheels on the bus, so to speak. But what that has morphed into is being someone that they can depend on, being a mentor in their life and somebody that's a force for good. And that can manifest itself in a million different ways.
So how did that modify? How did that change? Like, what brought about that change to your, I guess, your perspective about the whole thing?
I think in a lot of ways, my own dad. I don't know who my biological father is. I was super fortunate that I had a guy that came into my life and started dating my mom and, treated me as a son and demonstrated for me what fatherhood and being a friend, a mentor, and a good example of my life should be. And so I think a lot of that, behavior gets modeled from what I had modeled for me.
Right.
And, and part of it is I'm just head over heels in love with these little people. Like, they're my favorite thing to do is spend time with them as a family, obviously Jen as well. And so just that love, I love them more now than I did when they were born, infinitely so, just because we've developed our own relationship and our own, things that make us unique for each individual kid. And I've got a slightly different relationship with each one of them that's unique and special and amazing in its own way.
Right. Well, and somebody was just telling me the other day, you get, everybody assumes that they get 18 years with their kid underneath their roof. But if you really think about it, by the time they turn 11, 12, all of a sudden their job is no longer to listen to everything that you say. Their job is to start learning how to fly. And so they're getting ready to leave the house. And so it's really it's like 10, 11 years where you really get those kind of magic moments to be with those kids.
Yeah, I would say the first, I don't know what your experience was, but mine, I really struggled when they were really small.
Oh, yeah.
I just as a dad really kind of felt a little bit worthless kind of until probably about 2 or 3, because it was like, all right, I'm kind of the third wheel over here. They don't need me to eat. They don't, eventually when Jen started pumping and I could kind of feed them, I think that was magic for her because it was like, hey, I don't have to do everything. But, I felt very insignificant in the relationship pretty quick. So the magic of that, cutting that cord and saying, okay, now it's our family here together, faded pretty quickly.
Right.
And I really struggled probably, and really for all of them for the first couple of years, just because I just didn't feel like I was that important in the equation.
Right.
And
and it's just hard when they're young. I had a hard time because I couldn't connect with them in the way that I wanted to connect with them. I wanted to go throw a baseball and shoot hoops.
Right.
And, and so it was hard for me to connect with them when they were a little baby, for sure.
I agree. And for me, that magic time is kind of and Avery's into this now. She's about to go into middle school. So it's she's on to different things and has different interests. And, her world is changing. She's becoming much more independent and, it kind of is starting to fade.
So what's that like?
I don't know. Like, I'm super close with her. Jen and I both have very different relationships with each kid.
Oh,
and for me, I almost feel like we're becoming closer friends. I'm still the dad. I'm still the authority for that kind of stuff. But
needed
had
it.
the opportunity.
Yeah.
That like helping her guide it through. And I think it's different too, this because you have a boy and a girl, but you have different relationships.
Up 1, going into 14.
We'll see what happens.
Might have to make a move here at some point, Driessen.
We'll see what happens. So I think it's just different relationships that you have with different, with your different kids. But I've kind of enjoyed it. Like I've made kind of a habit of really enjoying each phase of their life. They all come with their own struggles and challenges, etc. But they also come with their own joys. There's things that she and I can do, like little stuff. Like we're watching a handful of different Netflix shows that she either wouldn't have understood or cared about if she was, Colton or Zach's age.
Right. I'll take that.
Yep. Nice little shot.
So what's your favorite dad quote?
Dad quote?
Favorite dad quote. Dadism.
I don't know about a dad quote.
Ooh.
Needed it. I don't know about a dad quote. We say our prayers around the dinner table every time we're having family dinner at home, and we, say our prayer that we always do, and we always ended it with Team D, work hard, never quit. So if I had one quote, that's probably it. That embodies what we're trying to, teach our children, what we want them to do.
So when's it appropriate to quit?
We say never quit, but I would also challenge that, if you're in an unhealthy situation, an unsafe situation, to me, that's not quitting. That's changing for the better. But, you sign up for a sport, you're going to play it. Jen signed her up for softball. She had said some interest about it, and she hadn't played it in 2 or 3 years. She's super big into soccer, as you know. And I was like, Dad, I don't want to play softball. And it's like, well, look, you signed up. You and your mom decided y'all were going to do that this summer. So
right. So
you're doing it.
Once you make a commitment.
You bet. You're going to honor that commitment. You're going to be a man or woman of your word.
Right. And that's how my dad was, too. I
think that's pretty common.
Right. If you make a commitment, you got to stick to that commitment. But at the same point, it's okay to correct course. I think the reason I ask that question is I think some people get stuck in the idea that quitting is not an option. You know what I mean? Like it's not allowed. And I don't think that's the way what you're talking about.
No.
Which is why I asked.
No.
All right. So here's an interesting question. If you could be filthy rich 400 years ago or middle class in today's society, what would you prefer?
Middle class today's society.
Why?
10 times out of 10. Technological advancements, life expectancy. Somebody that's middle class now is, in my opinion, very similar to the equivalent of wealthy hundreds of years ago. I don't know. I'm always a big believer. A couple things. One, I live in the present. So, saying if I could have been this, could have been that. People have asked me in other interviews before, like if you're a historical figure that time, what would you have been or where? And
right.
I'm watching things on the Romans right now, so that's super just fascinating to me, but I wouldn't change it. I'm right where I'm supposed to be, right when I'm supposed to be, and couldn't be happier about it.
Yeah. So what's one thing that you could only have learned through having kids?
God, patience, man.
That's exactly
and a little bit of humility too. Like, as you know, that's not my MO either. Yeah. But they teach you a lot of patience, and they teach you. And I've learned from them probably more than they learned from me in some cases. So,
right.
But patience is probably the biggest of those.
Absolutely. I think the other thing that I learned have learned is. Driving the green on a par 4 is how to. It's not always about me. Making those sacrifices. That was always That's one of the, like, if you don't have kids, that's one of the best part about not having kids. You get to do whatever in the heck you want, right? So having kids teaches you that, you gotta, it's not all about you.
Right.
And that was really hard for me to really get behind.
I totally agree. Jen would tell you I still haven't fully learned that lesson, but I was only child, so like literally my entire childhood experience was all about me. So,
somebody's closer. Yeah, that might be the deal sealer right there. Ooh, rim jobber. All right.
Oh, a lot of cutsy here.
Got it.
There it is.
Yes, sir.
Today, you are superior to me in Golden Tee. Today.
And maybe as a father today, coming out with the W. I get to bring that up to my kids.
I like it. Teaching me humility.
That's right. We were just talking about humility. What a perfect ending.
Learned. Can't believe that.
It's on video, folks. I love it. I love it.
Forever recorded.
That's right.
Of time.
Well, Driessen, thank you, my friend. Giving you this one right here.
Come on, bring it in. Bring it in, Go. Known you a long time.
How long have we known each other?
2008. 14 years.
That's a good memory. That's very specific.
But you did it when it counted.
I think this might be the first time I beat you in a long time.
You beat me in Copper like a month ago.
No, I lost to you because I got stuck in the weeds.
You lost the second one, not the first one.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you for coming on, for being so open about this. The intention of this whole thing is just to have these kind of real conversations about what it's like to be a guy, what it's like to be a dad, and have fun while we're doing it. So thank you. Yeah. So thank you guys for taking the time to check out the video. Remember that the world is your playground. Get it there, have some fun, do the best that you can. Thanks so much for joining. Here's to your journey in our world, my friend. Make it a fantastic day.